And just a few minutes ago, I said to our daughters, your mom's going to be the governor of Virginia. And I can guarantee those words have never been spoken in Virginia ever before.
I've spoken with thousands of you over this last year. I know your struggles. I know your hopes. I know your dreams. So serving you is worth any tough fight I have to take on, and I am incredibly honored to be your next governor.
Tonight, against all odds, we have grasped it. The future is in our hands. My friends, we have toppled a political dynasty.
It was a big night for Democrats.
Well, no, it was a huge night for Democrats.
The
it was
party's
a massive
key races across the country.
It's a massive, massive night for Democrats. I've been through a lot of these elections off year, and this is as big as it gets. I mean, we got Claire McCaskill here. Claire, we've been through this before where a party wins big in 2008. You saw this. Party loses big in 2009. We saw it with Donald Trump. Because I'm a nice guy, I've been trying to say, trim yourselves. You're being too extreme. Don't do that with people on the streets. They couldn't help themselves. And man, they learned what we try to tell people in White Houses over and over and over again. You don't buy the place, you rent it. And if you go too fast, voters will knock you on your ass immediately. And that's what happened yesterday.
Yeah, I'd say he's on his ass. The thing that was startling to me is if you look at the races outside of New Jersey, New York, and Virginia, because he can make the argument, the Republicans in Congress can make the argument they're blue states. But if you look at what happened in Maine, where they rejected, they not only put in red flag laws on the gun issue, they also rejected voter suppression. And in Georgia, you had Democrats winning a statewide office in Georgia at the state level, which hasn't happened in years.
By the way, utility commissioners, 2 out of 5 go Democratic. It's the first time a Democrat has even seen the inside of that building in over 2 decades.
Yeah, this is a strong
everywhere.
message.
You look what happened in Pennsylvania with the Supreme Court. Democrats, massive win there. You look what happened in Kansas. Their idea of gerrymandering killed yesterday on this election. So, Mika, we'll let you go through all the election results because they are huge. This is the thing, though. I've been preaching for a year when people are going, it's the end of democracy. No, it's not the end of democracy. There's always another election. There's another election for people who become too arrogant and think that they own the office they were elected to. And here we are. There's something unbelievably beautiful about this, something we'll talk about later, unbelievably American about this, that it was 1 year ago that Donald Trump, on this day, beat Kamala Harris. And now begins page 2. You'll remember, Paul Harvey.
The rest is
Here we go to page 2 with the rest of the story.
All right. In the race for governor of Virginia, Democrat Abigail Spanberger has defeated Republican Winsome Earl Sears, flipping the office from red to blue. Spanberger will be the first woman to ever serve as Virginia's governor.
And by the way, in the year of the male, the men have taken over us. All the beta males in the Republican leadership that claim they're he-men. Oh, men. We had last night, and keep the music rolling, I promise. I'll get out of the way so we can keep reading this. You had the first woman ever elected in Virginia as governor. You had the first Democratic woman ever elected in New Jersey. You had the first Muslim elected statewide in Virginia. You had the first Muslim woman elected statewide as lieutenant governor in the state of Virginia. And you had the first Muslim mayor elected to run New York City.
Democrat Jay Jones won the race for Virginia Attorney General, overcoming a text message scandal that threatened his chances. In New Jersey, as Joe mentioned, Democratic Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill has won the governor's race, defeating Republican and Trump-backed candidate Jack Ciattarelli.
Willie, nobody expected. I mean, I heard Democrats complaining about her campaign for the past 2 months. We saw polls that said it was too close to call, and she just absolutely thumped her Republican candidate. Again, perspective matters. Ciattarelli only lost by 3 points in 2001. Donald Trump only lost that state last year by about 5 points. Mikey Sherrill, like a landslide.
The concerns weren't just in the polls, they were internal. They were worried about how close this race had gotten. It was a blowout. She won by 13 points going away in that race. And yeah, I mean, there were tons of ads up against her, but she did really well. And we'll get into some of the details of this because I'm from New Jersey. I'm kind of nerding out on this. When you look in Hudson and Passaic counties, why are those important? Heavily Latino communities. Right. Latino men who drifted toward Donald Trump in the last election. Flipped by like 20 points in the other direction toward the Democrat in this race. It turns out they don't like watching their neighbors being snatched off the street.
Yeah, that turned out to be kind of a negative. Two more big through lines to talk about.
That was an understatement, big kind headlines. Of a negative.
Yeah.
The Trump administration over the past year has blown a historic opportunity to do what Republicans have wanted to do for half a century, and that is consolidate Hispanic voters. And Donald Trump and Stephen Miller together destroyed that momentum over the past year. Hope it was worth it, fellas.
And just the other night, he told Norah O'Donnell he wants to double down. They're not doing enough.
They're not tough enough.
Okay, in New York City, Zoran Mamdani has won the closely watched mayoral race, defeating independent candidate Andrew Cuomo by about 9 points. Also last night, we saw the passage of California's redistricting referendum. This move could potentially give the state 5 more Democratic congressional seats ahead of next year's midterms, and it really plays Republicans at their own game.
It really does. And Jonathan Lemire, Gavin C. Newsom goes from trolling to owning.
Yeah, this was this was in doubt when it was first proposed. There was some real thought this might not have passed, and yet this is the Democrats showing a fight. It wins handily. Redistricting California, creating more blue seats in response to what we're seeing from Republicans in Texas. They're moving in other states as well. The last night we hear not Kansas. That's going to be one state that doesn't add itself to the redistricting wars. But this is so much of this, of course, is with an eye towards next year's midterms, and so many of President Trump's extreme moves are a desperate effort to keep Republicans in power, Senate and House. Doesn't want to be a lame duck, doesn't want to face investigations. But last night, Democrats win big in California.
All right. And in the swing state of Pennsylvania, 3 Democratic justices on the state's Supreme Court have all won another 10-year term. It was a high-stakes election that saw millions of dollars pour in from both Republicans and Democrats. The result means the top court in Pennsylvania will keep its Democratic majority in the years ahead. Also with us this morning, senior writer for The Dispatch and a columnist for Bloomberg Opinion, David Drucker. He's an MSNBC contributor and politics reporter for Semaphore, Dave Weigel. Good to have you all on board along with Claire.
You know, so Dave, this reminds, I mean, I can go actually all the way back to 1993. I was running the next year. We were at an event the night that Republicans won massive in 93. And I thought, what does that matter? And then they, got out the T-shirts, go, here, this T-shirt. This is step one. You're going to win. We're going to win in a landslide next year, and here's why. And so I've been always looking at these elections the year after, looked at it in 2009, which led to, Barack Obama wins massively in 2008. Republicans win in 2009. 2010, the Tea Party comes. They overreach. Barack Obama wins again in 2012, as it always was. Here, though, you look and you see this reminds me a lot of 2017, where Democrats made massive gains after Donald Trump won in 2016 in an election that was supposed to change the landscape of America forever. It didn't, and neither did last year's election.
Yeah, well, I think the political parties and particularly people in Washington have this bad habit, at least in the 21st century, of overreading what the voters are telling them. Right? Politicians get elected and they think, oh, they want me to do everything I ever said I was going to do. And if you look at what, and I hate the word mandate, but if you want to look at why voters and demographics, including Hispanics, black men, young voters, shifted right in 2024 and voted for Donald Trump, it's because costs were too high, inflation they thought was out of control, their economic situation was very, very anxious and uncomfortable, and they thought the economy under that guy was pretty good in his first term. And even though I'm unsure and don't necessarily like, all the things he says and does, I want that. And the people in charge have not done a good job. And the Democratic candidate, the former Vice President, Kamala Harris, is saying she wouldn't separate herself from Joe Biden. So I don't want that.
Right.
And so Trump and his administration come in, and what voters are saying with yesterday, among other things, is you're not focused on the job we hired you to do.
Right.
We want you focused relentlessly on bringing down costs. People don't think costs have come down. They haven't come down.
Right.
On top of which, Trump has embraced the most, let's say, ambitious elements of his agenda. And a lot of voters didn't think he would actually do that based on how he talked a lot in the first term but didn't do.
Right.
And this should be a signal to Republicans on Capitol Hill that this isn't necessarily different than the first time around, which is how it has looked to them for several months.
Yeah. Oh, it's not different. I mean, you look at what's happened. It's not different at all, Willie. And the thing is, the lack of focus. As I said a couple weeks ago, if I have Middle East peace plan on the table, I'm talking about that for the next 2 weeks. I mean, I can't even count the number of things that we've been through over the past 2 weeks that voters have had to digest. A grand ballroom, knocking down the east wing of the White House on a whim, blowing up boats in Venezuela that your own team saying, well, we're not really, are there really criminals there? Because no fentanyl's coming from Venezuela to the United States. He's got that wrong. I mean, you go down the list, there's like a $20 to $40 billion bailout of Argentina. Forcing Americans to take more Argentinian beef instead of American beef. I mean, all of this, there's distraction after distraction after distraction. Putting tariffs on Canada because you don't like an advertisement in the World Series baseball game. Again, these are all things where people are saying, wait, affordability. And whether you're looking at the moderates that won in Virginia and New Jersey, or the Democratic Socialists that won in New York City, they're all talking about affordability. All three of them were talking about affordability. You can call them what you want to call them. They were talking about affordability, and they were talking about pushing back on the excesses of Donald Trump.
Yeah, as you guys both say, people are looking at their lives. It's too expensive. Groceries are too expensive. They just came out and announced that the median age for home buying is now 40 years old. In other words, you can't afford a house until you're 40 years old. 40 years ago, it was 29.
Huge shift.
People just can't afford daily life. They can't aspire to the things that they've been told they want. And so when they hear about all this other stuff, they go, what are you doing? We elected you to make things less expensive. Tariffs have made them more expensive. My life is not affordable. And the candidates that won focused on affordability, and implicit in talking about that was a criticism of Trump, which is, why is he raising tariffs on countries that are going to make your life more expensive? So it wasn't that direct Trump bad, orange man bad that was kind of criticized. Don't be so obsessed with Donald Trump. But it was implied in their affordability critique.